Hello and welcome to this meditation session. And as an introduction to the meditation, I want to mention that occasionally in the world that I travel in, the concept of power is often seen negatively, and partly because power is used in interpersonal relationships in society in ways that are quite painful and harmful. And if you go back and look at the meditation teachings of the Buddha, he has a lot of references to power that are power within oneself. Some of the faculties we have for doing meditation practice, as meditation develops into powers. There's a kind of power or strength that carries them, with which they carry us, they support us. There's the power of confidence, the power of effort, the power of mindfulness, the power of samadhi, and the power of wisdom. And none of these are being referred to in relationship to power over anyone else, and maybe not even power over oneself, but they are strengths that develop, and that from the Buddhist perspective, we don't need to be afraid of. They're here to support what's really best in us. The power of wisdom is clearly related to the power to recognize and act on what is beneficial for us, and to avoid what is harmful for us as we meditate. So this can get very quickly a complicated idea, discussion. But for this meditation, I would like to see if I can support you to meditate where there's some underlying sense of power in this body and mind, strength, that is an aid, keeping us grounded, keeping us centered here and now, keeping us gently but firmly rooted here in this practice, in this time and place, not with strain, not with striving, not with expectation, but almost like a delightful, appreciated sense of being rooted in the practice. So, assuming a meditation posture that is right for you, a posture that maybe is adjusted, maybe small adjustments, so that it expresses a confidence, a kind of power that we have, almost like gathering ourselves together, preparing ourselves maybe for a physical activity we have to do that requires all the strength that we can muster. We might take a deep breath, we might take a good stance, we might focus, and kind of bring together our whole body. And so a posture, a meditation posture that gathers together, and gently closing your eyes. And to find a place within that you associate, whether it's present now or not, you associate with a location for gathering power, strength, a definitive feeling of being, yes, here. No question about it. Gathering together to be rooted here for an important activity. Is there a place where you gather, where you center? And from that place, to take some long, slow, deep breaths, as if your breathing begins there and spreads from there as you breathe in. And returning there as you exhale. Relaxing as you exhale, almost as if you are relaxing around an inner sense of strength. So any complications around the edges of it fall away. And then to let your breathing return to normal. And continue to breathe out of or with some sense of inner strength, power. And with a gentle breathing, relax on the exhale. Maybe so there's a sense of calm or peace around that sense of strength, however small it might be. A sense of personal strength or power in meditation is closely connected to confidence, a simple confidence in the value of being present here and now. A confidence in not staying involved with thoughts and attitudes which undermine you. Confidence in simple awareness, so that awareness too is rooted in an inner strength, gathering together of oneself. a joining of mindfulness with a peaceful strength, power, definitiveness, here, now. And if you find your mind wandering off, to the best of your ability, recenter yourself in whatever sense of inner strength or power that's available to you, however small. So with confidence and clarity and definitiveness, you return to being aware now, here. to connect mindfulness with an inner source of strength, power, that is not assertive, but rather is closely associated with vitality, the sense of being alive, in a clear, definitive way. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to once again settle in yourself, maybe on the exhale. Maybe settling in a grounded, rooted place where there's a feeling of being strong in being rooted, a strength of presence, the advantage of which you're not going to be pushed around, collapse, give up, but stay present, able to look kindly, calmly onto whatever challenges you're aware of. And from this way, to be able to gaze upon the world kindly, generously, with care, compassion, without fear interfering with the care. Without feeling inadequate in the face of what's happening in the world, and to wish well, to look kindly upon others, to wish them the best, to wish them to be free of their greed, hate, and delusion, to wish them to be free of oppression, hunger, illness. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. And may all beings be free. And may the way that I'm present for people support that. Thank you. So, welcome to this third talk about the Buddha's teachings on disputes, quarrels. And we know that disputes and quarrels can be verbally violent. They can be assertive. There can be a lot of power and strength that is evoked in disputes. And sometimes some people's uh, sense of personal power gets awakened and channeled through anger, sometimes through conceit. And part of some people who don't have much sense of connection to their personal power will really value being angry because how it makes them feel powerful and strong. But when our personal power is channeled into disputes and quarrels, it makes the whole disputes and quarrels much more complicated, and it's not so easy for us to find ourselves in that. There's a losing of ourselves in it, and it can come along with all kinds of unfortunate things that go on. One of the things that that the Buddha talks about is what gives strength to any expression of greed, hatred, and delusion is people's love of power, in the sense that identifying with power, that I am powerful, or I want power. And that kind of power, social power, is a power that has to do with power in the relationship. We want control over others. We want to not just be right in the arguments we have, but we want to have a sense of that we're powerful. We can get our way in a situation. Sometimes because we only believe there's a win-lose option. It's either that person wins or I win, and so we want to win. We want to be safe. We want to not be, and losing doesn't feel good. And to feel powerful is a way of kind of winning in a sense, or being right, or having a sense of control, or a sense of pleasure even, in a sense of power over people. And because power is so often used for people to get their way, or to politicians to get their way, or rulers to get their way, and sometimes it's expressed in all kinds of horrible ways. Power is often seen as being evil or wrong, or people then become afraid to express their power. Sometimes because if they express it, someone else will come along and knock it down. Someone will express even more power and say that you're wrong or conceited or something. But the Buddha put a lot of discussion about power, personal power, but it was never power over anybody else. It was all in relationship to power over oneself. Though occasionally talked about having the power to enter into relationships in such a way that to create healthy relationships. And I'll talk about that. So some of the forms of power that Buddha talked about developing is the power of having a conscience. So the power of having conscience and care and to not cause harm. He talked about the power of confidence, the power of confidence over knowing what is healthy and unhealthy, beneficial and not beneficial. He talked about the power of effort, the effort of doing what's wholesome and avoiding what's unwholesome. The power of mindfulness. And part of the purpose of mindfulness, to really be present, is not to be calm, but to be able to find our way to recognize what is healthy and unhealthy, what is wholesome and unwholesome. The power of samadhi, the power of being grounded here in the present moment. And the power of wisdom. And one of the ways the Buddha defines wisdom is in fact the wisdom of being able to recognize what is beneficial and what is not beneficial, what is wholesome and what is not wholesome. And so over and over again we see the Buddha as wanting people to have power over themselves, over the choices their mind makes, their heart makes, their body makes in their activity, to be able to choose well. And one of the ways of choosing well is to choose the kind of a strength of mindfulness, of being present without assertion and without giving up, without running away or collapsing, without assenting to things we don't agree to, but to be able to hold our own calmly in a relaxed way, is to stay there and be present. Rather than turning away from conflict, I think the Buddhist approach is to stand up tall, metaphorically, to keep our seat, and be able to look at reality directly and calmly, without flinching, and without collapsing, without getting confused or agitated. And this is not an easy thing to do, but by emphasizing that this is a kind of there's a kind of internal power that's meant to be awoken and support us in this Buddhist practice. When this practice is only associated with being calm, being peaceful, sometimes we're shortchanging ourselves of what's possible here. Yes, being calm, being peaceful is part of the practice, but it's a partner with having strength, a partner with a certain kind of inner personal power, that so that in the peaceful state, we're not fragile, we're not vulnerable, we're not so sensitive that we feel like everything is too much. So a couple of things the Buddha emphasizes that in one place he talks about 4 powers, and the first is the power of wisdom, which he clearly defines as the power to know what's beneficial and what's not beneficial, to know what's wholesome and not wholesome. The power of energy, again, like I said before, to be able to act on that wisdom, to act on what's beneficial, to avoid what's not beneficial. And then the power of blamelessness. I love this one. The power of not living in the world where people have reason to blame you. Sometimes he calls that the joy of blamelessness, but he also, the power of being that way, a certain kind of strength that comes to be able to walk through the world, not being feeling that no one has anything to blame. They might blame us, but there's no cause for it. And then the power of sustaining favorable relationships, the power of sustaining favorable community, bringing people together. And this also he describes in 4 different ways, 4 kind of sub-powers in a sense. The power of giving, as opposed to the power of taking power, for example, from other people, controlling them. The power of giving people the benefit of the doubt, being generous to them. The power of giving them their opinion. Okay, we can agree to disagree, and you're welcome to your opinion. The power of kind speech or loving speech. So often in disputes, in quarrels, the speech is not kind, and sometimes it's actually downright mean. And so the power of knowing how to speak in kind ways, and then the power of beneficial conduct. So not just knowing what's beneficial, but really knowing how to act. And giving is one of those. Kind speech is another one. But to really conduct oneself in beneficial ways, not succumbing to harmful ways of being. And then the 4th one is the power of equality, the power of a certain kind of impartiality where we treat everyone equal. And this is the one that our society needs tremendously. There's so many different ways that we have bias, prejudice towards people of all kinds of differences from ourselves. And the power of treating everyone equally, a kind of a power of respect. So I offer this teachings today in the context of disputes and quarrels to, in disputes and difficulties and challenges you have with people, to call upon a personal power, but don't engage in disputes and arguments asserting power over other people. But have it over yourself so that you know how to stay present. And even just the power of presence, of keeping your seat, keeping your place without succumbing, without giving up, without um, 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 agreeing just because the other person's more powerful seemingly to you, or is arguing more strongly than you, or you're afraid of them, but to be able to breathe and stay rooted here. And it's a sense of inner power that might be in the long term, in all our complexity of our life, may be more important than trying to hold on to being calm and peaceful. But the more that we can have the power of attention, of being present, of being rooted, I think the more our calm and peace can accompany us and support us. So, so I hope that all of us can grow into becoming powerful people, but powerful over ourselves, with ourselves, so that we can do good in the world. Powerful enough that we can avoid the habitual tendencies to be mean, to be argumentative, to complain, to just be upset about all kinds of things with other people in ways that undermine and maybe make the world a worse place for other people. To have the power to hold our tongue when what we're going to say is going to make things worse. So this practice of ours is meant to support the development of powerful, strong people, and who can do good in the world and good for themselves, not to assert ourselves over anyone. So thank you, and may this support you in disputes and quarrels that you're being pulled into, or you're tempted to get involved in. And maybe it'll teach you how to be present for discussions when there's disagreements without it being a dispute or a quarrel. Thank you.